Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Show Style and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course. And as you can see from the title of this video, I will be talking about a few different stories. A couple of them involving Beyonce. I feel like people are really effing up over there, okay? And we have to talk about Tasha K exposing another Martellian, another man that has that type of Martell BAN energy, okay? And I want to get into Kanye West. Now, before I do, I ask that you please hit the like button on this video and please subscribe to the channel. And everything that I'm saying in this video is alleged and just my opinion. And the Copyright Act of 1976 says that my fair use commentary on these clips that I will play are allowed. So let's go ahead and get started with the Tasha K story. Shout out to the Neighborhood Talk. You all know that this is my favorite blog because they are a source for a lot of different stories and they don't flag videos. And I really appreciate that. I'm not going to name, a couple of major blogs out there that do, but just know that the Neighborhood Talk does not. Okay. So shout out to them and the owner, Kyle, and his wonderful staff, the great writers at the Neighborhood Talk. So I am going to mute my mic and so that you all do not experience an echo. Pay attention to the headline. It says that Tasha K exposes Mendeecees from Love and Hip Hop, originally Love and Hip Hop New York. Now we all know for the past few seasons, Mendeecees and his in spirit wife Yandy, because they're not legally married, they are on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta now. Well, Tasha K has gotten receipts from an alleged mistress, and there's also voice notes. I cannot believe how stupid men can be. But he has voice notes where he's talking about, beautiful women. They don't really care about pleasing their men. They just think about themselves. And that narrative totally made me think of Martell Holt when he was obsessed with his actual needs being met. When obviously Melody was meeting his needs because they have not one, not two, not three, but 4 kids. And the oldest 2, they're not even a full year apart. So they were definitely doing it over there. But let me stay on task. I'm going to mute my mic and play this clip for you. Please hit the like button. Thank you so much.
This came from a very high profile source. The receipts that we just got on Mendeecees, we all knew when he was on Love and Hip Hop and he was talking about Yandy wasn't taking care of her wifely duty and she would rather work than take care of him. His ego was bruised because, he was kind of limited at what he could do. He was used to being a dope boy that was wanted by everybody. And now Yandy don't really need this nigga. And so this is the type of nigga here that needs women to make him feel like a man because he is shaped and talks just like a female. Mendeecees is giving stud. His son is more masculine than him, bitch. Now, so we just got word in real time. Some receipts were sent to us. We did promise the girl that we would give her anonymity. He knows who she is because he blocked her today. Put up the block receipt, Jasmine. That was fast. And, she got her receipts before. I asked her to send a screenshot of the DMs, and she did that. So let me pull up mine. So the voice note, we got him. Give me 1 second. He goes in the next text, like real bad. You can. And she says, you can have me. He says, I can't even front no more. She said, I'll let you have me. He said, we'll see. And then she goes, I will. She's from North Carolina, by the way. He goes, you be busy. And then she goes, so you don't want me? And then he goes, I do, absolutely do. We have a voice recording. Let's go.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But yeah, usually, real beautiful women are not into just pleasing men or just they make it all about themselves, and that can pretty much be difficult or complicated rather to make it work. But however, you don't strike me from us talking. You don't strike me that way, and that's amazing. And and that is very, very attractive. Oh my God. you have like, that's like the best of all worlds collide together. Oh my God, that's have an impact.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, was he talking about Yandy? You know, there's beautiful women out here, but they're not willing to please men. Because he did say that on Love and Hip Hop, didn't he? He said on Love and Hip Hop, like, she's not pleasing me. She's very beautiful, but you know, but you seem like a pleaser. And that's very attractive. Why would he be telling another woman that women out here aren't willing to please men, but she sounds like she does? That's very attractive to him. Don't sound like a married man. Mm-mm. That boy horny. He real horny. He sound like he was like hard. What y'all think Yanni gonna say to this? Is she gonna say she sent the receipts? He was talking to me. We was role playing. Get him off the screen. He smells like semen. This came from a very high profile source.
I am going to play that for you all one more time. You know, I like to play clips twice for you, just in case, you know, there's anything else you want to process or marinate on. One thing that I will say is that these men who are willing to betray their partners, their spouses, they love to sound like, you know, I'm getting on and it's so bad at home and all this stuff. They love to try and convince the mistress that they're being neglected. They're being neglected in the bedroom. You know, she's also making me feel small because we all know Yandy, she may be 100% reality TV star right now. I do believe that they own some businesses from what I see on Love and Hip Hop. But she was a manager. She once managed the rapper Missy Elliott's career. We all know that she managed the rapper Jim Jones. That was the beginning of Love and Hip Hop New York. We all know that Jim Jones, long time girlfriend, would love to be his wife, but he won't marry her. Chrissy, she said that she actually thought when she and Jim Jones started filming for Love and Hip Hop New York, they thought the show was just going to be about them. They didn't even realize it was an ensemble cast. But in any event, they were on the show because Yandy was managing him. She was able to get them on the show, and she too was on the show as well. And so she has developed a career in the music industry. She has income. You heard Tasha K refer to Mendeecees as a dope boy. If you're not familiar with Love and Hip Hop New York or Atlanta, Mendeecees did go to prison for that allegedly. And Yandy even said on the show that the feds, you know, kicked her door in. This was back on Love and Hip Hop New York. And she had a wedding, she had a ceremony, but as she put it to her friends on the show, Kimbella and another beautiful chocolate sister, I can't think of her name right now, she told them, she said, I know I had a wedding, but I did not. She said, I went into agreement with Mendeecees and God, but I did not go into agreement with Mendeecees and the government. And they were all like, they were in shock because that whole time they thought Mendeecees and Yandy were legit married, but it was just the ceremony. She did not marry him because in the event that he would have had to pay like restitution, she did not want her money, you know, being commingled with that and him having to use her money to pay the debt. You know what I'm saying? She was not willing to do what Cynthia Bailey did for Peter Thomas in a way when it came to always investing in his nightclubs. And then they would close. Girl, please. But see, I can't do male sponsorships. Ebony cannot sponsor a man. I cannot do that. I work too hard for my money. I work too hard to diligently save. Like, and I have to look out for myself. I have to cover the mortgage. So why the hell would I sponsor a man? He needs to be able to take care of that on his own. Okay, but so I'll play the clip again for you all. And he's definitely giving Martell energy, trying to convince this girl that, you know, Yandy ain't handling business. I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic. Here we go.
The receipts that we just got on Mendeecees, we all knew when he was on Love and Hip Hop and he was talking about Yandy wasn't taking care of her wifely duty and she would rather work than take care of him. His ego was bruised because, he was kind of limited at what he could do. He was used to being a dope boy that was wanted by everybody. And now Yandy don't really need this nigga. And so this is the type of nigga here that needs women to make him feel like a man because he is shaped and talks just like a female. Mendeecees is giving stud. His son is more masculine than him, bitch. Now, so we just got word in real time. Some receipts were sent to us. We did promise the girl that we would give her anonymity. He knows who she is because he blocked her today. Put up the block receipt, Jasmine. That was fast. And, she got her receipts before. I asked her to send a screenshot of the DMs, and she did that. So let me pull up mine. So the voice note, we got him. Give me 1 second. He goes in the next text, like real bad. You can. And she says, you can have me. He says, I can't even front no more. I'll let you have. She said, I'll let you have me. He said, we'll see. And then she goes, I will. She's from North Carolina, by the way. He goes, you be busy. And then she goes, so you don't want me? And then he goes, I do, absolutely do. We have a voice recording. Let's go.
Um, yeah, that's what I mean. But yeah, usually, real beautiful women are not into just pleasing men or just they make it all about themselves, and that can pretty much be difficult or complicated rather to make it work. But however, you don't strike me from us talking. You don't strike me that way, and that's amazing. And whew, and that is very, very attractive. Oh my God. You have that's like the best of all worlds collide together. Oh my God, that's have an impact.
I'm just trying to figure out, was he talking about Yandy? There's beautiful women out here, but they're not willing to please men. Because he did say that on Love and Hip Hop, didn't he? He said on Love and Hip Hop, she's not pleasing me. She's very beautiful, but
Okay, I just paused it right there. We all know that Tasha K is going to say Mendeecees seems like he was, hard, and he was HORNY. Now, in my opinion, I believe that Yandy will find a way to make this a much lighter issue. She may come clean in her confessionals on Love and Hip Hop and speak on the betrayal. She may speak about feeling hurt or embarrassed, which would be very normal human emotions to have. She's been, married to Mendeecees for several years at this point. They have children together. They've built a life together. But I think she's gonna leave him or be serious about possibly separating? No, I don't. I think she's just going to find a way to get over it, which is really sad, which for me comes off as self-betrayal, to ignore your needs. You have a need and a right to be respected and to not be lied to in any type of relationship, a marriage, dating, sibling relationship, parent-child friendship. You deserve to be treated with respect and honesty. So I feel like she's going to self-betray just to stay with the guy. And Yandy has put up with a lot. Like I already said, she built a career as a manager in the music industry and developed that income for herself. We all know what he was doing, allegedly. Then he comes with kids by two women. So again, if you are, old head in terms of Love and Hip Hop New York, which by the way, there are free compilation videos of these Love and Hip Hop seasons during Carnival 19 when the entire country was shut down and Love and Hip Hop was on VH1. VH1 did an amazing job while we were all at home. They compiled clips from all of the old seasons. So they would do like a Love and Hip Hop New York season 1, season 2, and Love and Hip Hop Atlanta season 1, and they would compile, and it would be like an hour and a half, maybe almost 2 hours of footage for the whole season. Oh, it was great. And it's still on YouTube. You can watch it for free. So you can watch everything that went down with Mendeecees' baby mamas. And then he goes to prison and he tells the women, I want to make sure that you all get along. And I want my kids, although it's different mothers, I want to make sure that you women all make sure that my kids continue to see each other and spend time together while I am in prison. Oh my gosh. And one of the baby mothers, her mom, she's like a later in life stud. So it's it's interesting, okay? And you're welcome. You just look for it on YouTube. I would just search Love and Hip Hop New York, maybe type in compilation, and then all those videos will pop up for free. It was great just to sit back and kick it when the whole country was shut down. Thank you, VH1. Now when you see it, it's gonna be like on a Love and Hip Hop channel. It may even have like a MTV logo or something, because we know that the Love and Hip Hop shows come on. Well, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta comes on MTV now, whatever. But yeah, that was a very juicy storyline. I personally like the baby mamas. I thought they were cool. Mendeecees definitely likes beautiful women. I think that, you know how like when you're getting to know someone and maybe you get on the subject of past relationships, I always felt like Mendeecees told Yandy that Samantha, which is the mother of little Mendeecees, he must have said that he really loved her. And Samantha is the one whose mom is the later in life stud. I have a feeling he must have told Yandy that he had deep feelings for Samantha, because I felt like she had the most venom for that baby mama. And at one of the reunions, one of Yandy's relatives sucker punched Samantha. She legit bum rushed the reunion stage and hit Samantha in the back of her head, y'all. Y'all better look for them compilation videos. I may save them on my community tab, repost them, and then I may watch them after I'm done with this video, because I done talked myself into wanting to see it all over again. And then he has a son with Erica. And, you know, they're beautiful women. And I can't think of his son's name with Erica. But Erica had an apartment that was in Mendeecees' name, both their names. And then he went to prison. And Yandy shows up and like puts the girl out. I'm telling y'all, okay, now I know what I'm watching tonight. I know what I'm watching. I done made up my mind. And just a side note, Mendeecees' son, little Mendeecees, he's like a gorgeous young man. He has beautiful, because Mendeecees has like a curl pattern. So little Mendeecees plus Samantha, I think she's like an Afro-Latina. So little Mendeecees has like this thick curly hair, and he should be modeling. Like he gives like Calvin Klein, or, you know, the really big designers. Like he should totally be modeling. And I don't understand why Yandy hasn't tried to negotiate that at this point, but whatever. What do you think about this story? So I have quite a few stories that I wanted to talk about. So let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so this is a serious story about this 17-year-old special ed student who's being charged as an adult. He is in jail right now, and according to his parents, they don't know much. He's being accused of assaulting a teacher. So I do want to talk about it. So I'm going to mute my mic so that there's not an echo. Please hit the like button. Thank you.
A special education student in jail after an assault on a teacher.
Well, his family says they don't believe he should be behind bars, knowing his diminished mental capacity. His bond is $100,000. And because the 17-year-old is charged as an adult, his parents say they're not getting any information. This all happening in Brazosport ISD, which is in Clute, Brazoria County. ABC 13's Micah Hatfield spoke to his father, who says his son should be at home.
17-year-old Peter is still here in the Brazoria County Jail, something his parents don't feel comfortable with, knowing that he doesn't know what's going on. They tell me he has the mentality of a younger child, and they're being kept in the dark about what's happening in his case. Last Thursday, family says 17-year-old Peter was removed from his special education class at an alternative school in Brazosport ISD by police and taken to jail. Adult jail, because that's how he was charged. A count of assault of a public servant.
He's 17 with a low IQ, and a disability, not knowing, what type of trouble he's in, not knowing where he's at, not knowing what the judge was telling him.
Family says Peter is 17 years old, but has the mentality of a 12 or 13-year-old. They say he suffers from both mental disabilities and health issues. They tell ABC 13 that they have not been able to get much information on why he's in jail, other than that he assaulted a teacher a month prior to his arrest. Family says he's in trouble regularly for his behavior, and doctors have told them that's likely to happen with his particular disability. They say Brazosport ISD is supposed to have a crisis prevention team in place to restrain students out of school, which they say was necessary in this case because they believe he was in a mental health crisis at the time.
How this came apart right here. I don't, it's scary. It's scary for all parties involved. It's scary for him, and it's scary for it was scary for the teacher.
Peter's parents don't know when they'll be able to see him again because his bond was set at $100,000, something that they cannot afford. They don't dispute that he should be punished for his behavior if he did hurt the teacher, but they don't believe adult jail is the right place for him.
He needs to be at home with his family. He needs to be 24-hour taken care of. He's sitting in there scared. He's confused.
Brazosport ISD would not comment further than saying he was indicted by a grand jury for assaulting a staff member. The DA's office said they could not comment on pending litigation, but listen to the parents' concerns that we passed on. In Brazoria County, Micah Hatfield, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Okay, y'all, so this is like a really tough story. I'm sorry that it's even happening to this family, to young Peter. It is a lot. I do want to read the caption because the caption goes into details. The reporter did say that, he's gotten in trouble kind of often. So I do want to talk about some things with young Peter. Okay, so again, it's out of Clute, Texas. Their parent, 17-year-old son, Peter Brown, who has mental disabilities and functions more like a 12 or 13-year-old, was hit with a $100,000 bond and charged as an adult for allegedly assaulting a public servant, though his parents still do not know exactly what happened. I want to pause right there very briefly. I do think that that's odd that the parents do not know what has happened exactly, and they're not really getting info. So let's move on. Peter was pulled from his special education class at an alternative school and taken to jail last week. The alleged incident happened back in March, but his parents say they've gotten little to no info from the school or police. So, he is in an alternative school. So I'm not an educator and I don't have children. And so I don't have a kid who's special needs. So I don't know. When I think of alternative school, I think of perhaps you've been kicked out of the standard public school. When I think of alternative schools, I think of a school for girls who are expecting, it's some sort of more like unique situation. So that kind of rings a bell for me. Like, why is he in an alternative school? Why isn't he at a public school that has a special education department? That was just a thought, but I'm guessing it's because of this crisis team. This alternative school has this crisis team, and the parents felt like that crisis team could help manage the behavior of their son. That is my guess. So the dad, Brandon Brown, says, I don't even know what's going on. He's sitting in jail, not even understanding why. Well, and I guess if he's special needs and he has the mentality of like a 12 or 13-year-old, he may not fully understand, perhaps. I don't know if they get a chance to visit with him. That was not said that they're not allowed. So I'm guessing they do get to visit him. Now, the Browns, his parents, agree that consequences are important, but they say that charging Peter as an adult is unfair given his mental state. He's had multiple mental health facility stays and is usually handled by a crisis team that's trained to de-escalate. And the dad, Brandon, added, he doesn't even understand what's criminal or not. We've been working with him his whole life. I want to pause there. The fact that he's been at multiple mental health facilities, it sounds like even a school is not really the environment for him. You know, like, is there a mental health facility that specializes with for teenagers? Because the thing is, although mentally he's 12 or 13, physically he's a 17-year-old boy. And I don't, even from the fullness of his face, like, I don't think he's like when Snoop Dogg, the rapper, was super duper skinny. Like, I don't think he's skin and bones. It sounds like he has some meat on his bones, and he could be, I imagine he's very strong. So I don't know if a teacher, because like I have friends, I have god sisters, a cousin who teach special ed, you know, and so I'm thinking of them as women. If they were getting physically attacked by a 17-year-old, I would imagine a 17-year-old boy could get the best of them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just wondering if school is the best environment. And then they're in Texas, a more conservative state. He's a young man of color. And, you know, now they're charging him as an adult. I'm not saying that it's fair or okay that he's being charged as an adult, but we as Black people, as people of color, you have to think ahead. You have to anticipate if X, Y, and Z happens, how the powers that be, how the mainstream culture, how that race is going to treat me if X, Y, and Z happens. And so I just wonder if a school, even an alternative school, is the best environment for this young man, knowing that he has had multiple mental health facility stays and they're in a conservative state like Texas. And right now we're under a 45/47 environment as well. And so the neighborhood talk poses the question, do you think kids with disabilities should be charged as adults, or did the system fail him? A lot of people were saying, you know, if he was white, just like this person says, if he was white, he would just get therapy and not jail. And a lot of people were saying he should be freed. There were a couple of people who said, you know, I work in the classroom, I assist the teacher with special needs students. Some of them do know a little bit more between right from wrong than you would think. Some of them, you know, they do have really severe problems. And, you know, there were a couple of people that felt like, well, it's not so black and white. Perhaps it's more tailored to that individual student, and you know, some of them can get really out of hand. So it's an unfortunate situation, but you know, I do wish that he was like never in the alternative school, but he was in some other environment, because he's had the multiple mental health facility stays. But what do you think about this story? So now let's move on to the two Beyonce stories that I wanted to cover. And again, shout out to the neighborhood talk. So I'm gonna have to mute the music because it is like Beyonce's catalog, but we're going to go over a couple of things. People are really trying to mess with Beyonce. Ooh, let me mute it. Okay. So Beyonce and her team, Parkwood Entertainment, they've been hit with a cease and desist over the use of the Las Vegas sphere. You know, that white sphere kind of looks like an egg, and then it's written like in red and blue letters, Las Vegas. We've seen that. There she is doing the shamar dance. We've seen it, like if you've ever watched The Real World Las Vegas, you see that sign. I wonder, did MTV think to get their permission? Well, um, they are hitting Beyonce with the cease and desist, saying that she never got permission to use the imagery. So let me read the caption to you. This is according to the New York Post. Beyonce and her production company, Parkwood Entertainment, have reportedly been hit with a cease and desist from the CEO of Madison Square Garden, James Dolan's attorney. They claim Beyonce used imagery of the Las Vegas Sphere during her Cowboy Carter tour without permission. Per reports, Kathleen McCarthy is an attorney for Dolan Sphere Entertainment Group. He's accused Beyonce and her team of manipulating images of the sphere without proper consent. I would just want to stop right there. Well, Beyonce, I'm sure she depends on other people to get such permissions. I'm sure she had some sort of creative vision in her mind, and some other people helped her to develop that into this video that you see. And she said she probably envisioned herself walking throughout Las Vegas, but it's like she is bigger than life, larger than life, and there's the city, and she's in the desert doing the dance. And so people helped her bring this to life, but they didn't get the proper permissions. That's definitely not on Beyonce. It's not like she's me. Like if I wanted to do a video with the Las Vegas Sphere, and it's on me, I'm a one-woman show to get the permission. Beyonce has a team of people. They obviously did not do their job. I'm sure Beyonce is annoyed. Okay, it's not the end of the world. She can, I'm sure go through the process. I don't think they're going to deny her the right to use it, because they wouldn't want her team releasing that denial, and then they look petty and look like some haters. But they're still saying respect our creativity and get our permission. And I think that that's fair. I'm just sure Beyonce is annoyed that her team did not take care of business. So if she's in a mood to curse people out, I totally understand. So now let's go ahead and move on to this next Beyonce story. She could have gotten hurt. So lots of people are enjoying the boots on the ground. She incorporated it into, I believe that was Heated from Renaissance, that album. She incorporated the boots on the ground song. I can't play that for you, of course, because of the music, but you can go ahead and come to the Neighborhood Talk on Instagram and check it out yourself. So I feel like I've gone too far. Those were like yesterday's stories that I shared on my IG post. So let me take my time. That's the cease and desist. Oh, I think, yeah, here it is. I did go past. So I'm going to mute it. And then we have to talk about how Beyonce almost got hurt. So pay attention to Beyonce. She may look a little lost. She's going to look like almost like she's wandering on stage. Okay. So she's coming out and she's looking down. I don't really think most fans noticed, but she's being very aware where she is, where she's placing her feet, because someone forgot to mark where Beyonce would stand on stage. She loves to do these different things like she's doing now. Like if you went to her concert, or if you saw the Renaissance movie like I did, she had like cool things where she would step into it and then it would do something and her costume would change colors. And, she was looking like for her X or her mark where she would know where to stand. This is like very serious because, Beyonce and other artists, Chris Brown, they may, parts of that stage can move. Like they may come up on stage just from beneath and it'll raise them up, or at the end of a performance, she may go down on a part of the stage and may lower her so that she can go change into her next costume. But that's why she's looking around. And then also, I'm sure it's a formation issue because she was going to have this part of her show where it's like a picture frame. And she wanted to stand in the right spot so that that's executed and she's not standing there looking stupid. And those two pieces of the picture frame, she's not even in them. You know what I'm saying? So someone forgot to do that. I'm pretty sure they're in a lot of trouble, okay? Even if she doesn't yell at the person who forgot to mark the spot, she yelled at their immediate boss, so I'm sure they got yelled at. They may not have gotten fired, but they definitely got cursed out, minimum. They may have gotten cursed out and fired, but that's a huge boo-boo, and that could have been really dangerous. When I first read this story, you know what I immediately thought? I remember like the adults telling me about the singer and music producer and songwriter Curtis Mayfield. Rest in peace to him. But Curtis Mayfield, he became paralyzed after performing on stage, and the stage lights fell on him and paralyzed this man. So I instantly thought of Mr. Curtis Mayfield and just thinking, you know, whose job was it to inspect all of the stage equipment? That stuff has to get inspected, if not on a regular basis, definitely before that venue was being used. You know, so definitely before the sound check, even before the artists go on stage and do their sound checks to make sure all of that shit is working properly. Whose job was it to inspect the lights? And I know that that happened to him, you know, dozens and dozens of years ago. But even then, if the equipment wasn't as advanced as it is today, that had to have been someone's job simply to inspect the stage equipment, to inspect the lights. And same thing, like it was someone's job to mark where Beyonce would stand. So I'm glad that she did not get hurt. I'm glad that none of her people on stage with her got hurt. And, you know, I'm glad it still went smooth, but I thought that was like a big boo-boo. All right, and then we're going to get into Kanye and we will be all set. I actually really love doing like the hodgepodge stories because it's like a variety of stories. So let's get into this report on Kanye. I'm gonna mute my mic.
He's planning to sue his dentist for allegedly getting him addicted to laughing gas. The rapper's legal team claims Dr. Thomas Connolly gave West nitrous oxide during cosmetic dental treatments. The complaint alleges Connolly also taught West how to self-administer the gas and sent large tanks of it to his home. West claims he sustained neurological damage due to prolonged exposure to the gas. Connolly has not commented. Kanye West is planning to sue his dentist for allegedly getting him addicted to laughing gas. The rapper's legal team claims Dr. Thomas Connolly gave West nitrous oxide during cosmetic dental treatments. The complaint alleges Connolly also taught West how to self-administer the gas and sent large tanks of it to his home. West claims he sustained neurological damage due to prolonged exposure to the gas. Connolly has not commented. Kanye West is planning to sue his...
Okay, so I played that clip twice for you all. Look, we know that Kanye West, this is just in my opinion, he's been spiraling for several years now, ever since his mom passed away. Unfortunately, rest in peace to her. He seems like he has never been the same, and it's been like a very long progression. And I guess he's just always saying something or doing something. So now he's got energy kind of directed towards his dentist. And the fact that, according to Kanye, his dentist taught him how to administer the laughing gas to himself, I think that that is something that a lot of celebrities experience because money talks. And even, I guess, even if it's wrong, but the celebrity is willing to pay you big bucks to help them, you know, scratch that itch, then they're going to do it, no matter how toxic, unhealthy, or dangerous or illegal the request is. And this is just my opinion to the dentist. Now, because I think of like Matthew Perry, the actor who passed away last year, from the show Friends. There's a whole documentary about him. It's not on Tubi, I don't think. I think it's on Peacock. And I just didn't know he had such serious issues. And there were like, these assistants who would go out and get him stuff to take. And so I feel like some celebrities, they have the money to pay people to go out and do these things, and then their life just seems to get out of control. So I guess as the assistant or the dentist, you have to have like this individual, personal, ethical code where you're just not going to do certain things, no matter how much money people present to you. And but I guess people don't care for the big bucks. It probably changes their lives. It probably pays off cars, pays for kids' private education, or both. So they're willing to do whatever. Now, Kanye just recently was saying crazy things about Beyonce and Jay-Z and their children. So I think he gets into these fits or moods where he has to direct a lot of energy towards someone. And so now it is the dentist. And, I don't know the dentist. I don't know Kanye. He gives a very convincing story where it is possible. But, because of his pattern of how he moves on social media and the things that he says about people and children, I also feel like while that is a possible scenario, if the dentist was willing to do that, it is coming from Kanye. And, allegedly the Kardashians, Kim's mom tried to get a conservatorship over him. They were unsuccessful at it. While sometimes I do think that from the attorney's perspective, sometimes I do think that that's like one of the latest white collar scams. I do think in this situation, just in my opinion, Mr. West, I do think that a conservatorship, it may not have been a totally bad idea. You may not get with the family who tried to do it, but I don't think that it's 100% bad coming from him. But what do you think? Do you believe what Kanye is saying about the dentist? Or do you believe that there's definitely a possibility it's just all in his head? Okay, like the Nelly Tim McGraw song. It was all in my head. I think about it over and over again. All right. So those are the stories that I wanted to share with you all. I hope that you are having a great weekend. I am. So shout out to the New York Knicks. They are advancing. They beat the Pistons in 6 games. Thursday night, they just, kicked the Pistons' ass. Okay. It was just really sad. And I went to the bar to watch the game. I worked out, go to the bar in my sweats, IDGAF, okay, and had a couple of drinks. I'm watching the game. Everybody is stressed out, okay, and watched it to the very end. The third quarter, almost fourth quarter, the Pistons caught up to the Knicks, even had a lead for a short period for about like 7 points. Then the Knicks just come back fourth quarter and just took care of business. And Brunson, at the very end of the game, shoots a 3-pointer and it goes in, and he does something funny with his hand and held it up in the air. I was like, oh my gosh, like it was a wrap. So I went home, and that was just that. And it was raining hard on the way to the bar. I'm going through all of this to watch them play, which is sad. And then Friday night, last night, I went to the gym, and then I went and saw the Thunderbolts, which is a Marvel movie. Y'all know I love going to the movies. I love the superhero flicks. It was entertaining. It had jokes. It had lots of action, lots of action. And the movie was about not fighting yourself, the war within. And the villain character, he had an inner war, the war within. It was really, really good. So definitely check out the Thunderbolts. And then if you do, we can have conversation about that villain character. And he wasn't even 100% villain because of the war within, him fighting himself. He was called Sentry. And then today, so this morning, I went to the arcade, Dave and Buster's. I played some video games before it got filled with a lot of kids. And I went and visited my godparents. So they're doing good, spent some time with them. Then I got like late lunch at a neighborhood pub at a bar, and then I came home and I'm doing some content. So I know it's been a few days, but I hope you all are having a fantastic weekend. And Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I will talk with you all soon. Bye.